Hello there, and welcome to the City Skylines Let's Play with me, Sneaky Blinder. Welcome to the channel. This is a new channel for me. I'm trying something a little bit new. I love playing City Skylines and all sim games, city builders. So yeah, I absolutely love this community. So I thought I'd try something new and try and create some content for you guys. So please hit that like and subscribe button or dislike if you dislike. Add any comments down in the chat, etc. Um, so we're here on the Grey Waters map, which is from the Financial Districts DLC. If you don't have this DLC, I'd highly recommend going and getting it. I will probably create a little tier guide on my favourite DLCs. I know a lot of people have done that, but I've got quite a few favourites. This is certainly one of them. I really like the maps, which is quite odd because I haven't seen a lot of creators use these maps, but I'm a big fan. And some of the buildings you get, which we'll see later on once we move into sort of a downtown vibe, some of them are really cool. So yeah, this is certainly one of my favorite DLCs. So we've chosen this map really. I've done a bit of scouting already, but I really like the island vibes. You'll see straight away there's quite a lot of little islands on here. So I'm thinking some really cool bridge vibes across to little towns and villages across the islands. A lot of opportunities for sort of ships running through and little fishing boats sort of here and there dotted all around. So yeah, I think we can get some really cool vibes going with this. Quite a nice little sort of what do you call them, archipelagos, and it's not an archipelago, is it, but like bays, sort of dotted here, there, and everywhere, where we could have some nightlife vibes, some zoos and theme parks, etc. So, just to give a bit of a high level of what we're working with. So, I am doing it's mostly a vanilla vibe, but I do have some mods. Most of them quality of life, as you will see. I'm already sort of zooming in and out. I can move all around the map. So, quality of life stuff, just to kind of highlight what we're doing for you guys watching. But I will add in the description a list of all the mods I'm using. I do have a handful of custom assets as well, but nothing major. And I'll also list them on screen for you here now. Anyway, let's dive in. It's a Let's Play series after all, so let's play. So what I like to do when I first start City is kind of scope the area. So we can see already we've got some quite nice flat land here, which is cool. And this sort of first square that we've got is pretty nice. So we've got most of this initial island in here, which is really, really good. So what I like to do is think of the lore. So I like to think, I mean, we've got some castles here, but I like to think where would the initial settlers have come in from? And I'm kind of thinking down here was probably the sea. So they came through here, they started to settle on all these little islands here, maybe had their castles as defense, but eventually came and settled on this island. Um, and what I'm thinking, just looking at this, is I'd like some initial farmland vibes here. So this is going to be probably our initial village. Yeah, because we've got this little Stonehenge here as well, which is really cool, which we can integrate into sort of a farm park vibe further down the line. But I think that's nice. So we're going to utilize this farming once we unlock it. But I think our initial village is going to kind of sit alongside the farming industry and almost form part of that initial industry. And what I'm actually thinking, looking at this first island, is I kind of want to go with a vibe of maybe three sort of rival villages or towns within this main island. So I'm thinking here we'll be farming, obviously, as we just discussed, and then up here we could do some forestry industry with maybe a little old village bay sort of sitting in here, maybe using some of the other content creator stuff, which we'll get into when we get down there. But certainly use the natural resource here. I'm not a big fan of these trees, so what I might do is use the forest brush just to add some new trees in there. But anyway, we'll get that once we get to it. And then maybe over here, looking at this little bay here, we could maybe have a little fishing industry. Because what I'm thinking is, going back to the lore, is the initial settlers would have come in, they set up their farming, they set up their forestry and their fishing, and then they're pretty much set, right? And then they can grow from there. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. So let's dive in. So what I like to do while I just set up this first piece here is I don't like to dive in with elaborate city starts. So what I want to do is create a very unelaborate, almost roundabout vibe just to get us off this highway initially. So as you'll probably notice from my accent, I'm from the UK. In the UK, we don't have huge interchanges into our cities. So I'll be working with those sort of vibes. So what I want to do is just start with a little couple of off ramps coming in here. And you'll notice I've almost extended this highway into um, individual two-lane roads coming off because eventually what I want to do is have this highway or motorway still running through the city, coming through our forestry and eventually connecting up into here. We will probably change this. I'm not a big fan of especially this little dip here. It's not very nice. So we probably will change this in the future, but I want to almost keep that coming in. So what I want to do is just quickly scope out where that's probably going to go so we can use this as a guideline for the rest of the city. But I'm thinking I almost want this to sort of point in that direction. So if we just quickly do that, grab this one, do the same for you. So we know in the future our main sort of highway motorway is going to come through the city and in through here. So what I want to do is just very quickly push these out just so we keep that in place. So as we build our sort of first village, we know that we're probably going to build up to about this point so we're not too close to the motorway. And then I'll just quickly delete some of this out because we now know where we're going to go. And then we can start our main city. So sometimes what you'll see is people will come in, they'll start with the sort of bog standard roundabout that you see here, but I'm not a big fan of that either. So what I'm going to do is use these guidelines and then actually create a bit of a longer roundabout. So I'm going to do the full length there, which was 12 units, and then come out by 4 on either side here. And then what we'll do is we'll grab our curve road tool, let's come out by 5, and then obviously 5 up, get that perfect curve, 5 again, perfect curve, do the same on the other side, 5 and 5, 5 and 5, nice and easy, straight road, back in, connect everything up. So we've got a lengthened roundabout, if you will. And this will be our base to start with. And then what I want to do is come back into our two-lane roads. I do want to use the two-lane one-way road with wide sidewalks so that we can get some walkability going in the city. Obviously, reduce that traffic from day one and then go from there. So you'll have noticed already we are using right-hand drive. So obviously being from the UK, we drive on the left, but for the purposes of this, I do like playing with right-hand drive. And then what I want to do is create some sort of nice curves. I don't want that as probably too harsh, but that one's not too bad. Nice curves coming in and off of this roundabout that we've created here. So what we've now got is we can come into the city here. We will tidy up lane mathematics, etc. later, which I'll discuss. You can come off into the city, onto this nice roundabout, and then everyone is happy. So what we're going to do is start with our dirt roads. And what I want to do is just quickly scope where we want this first village to sit. So we already know our motorway is going to come sort of through here. So I'm thinking I want our main road to come through here. And I want to respect the trees that exist as much as humanly possible. So I think that's going to be quite nice. So we're going to have farmland on this side and then a little village just kind of sitting on this side here. So let's go with that. So then we can come off our roundabout. So I want to come out by 10 just to give us a bit of a buffer. And then what I want to do is utilize this terrain to just come in like that. Come down, grab our guideline and have a big sweeping curve coming in there and then again another sweeping curve coming in there. So I don't like to play in straight lines. Again, from the UK, we don't have a lot of straight lines. We have curves. That is quite a nice curve already. So coming right around this little dip in the terrain, that's going to look very nice. Very nice indeed. So let's start our first town, shall we? So this is going to be the main um, arterial road that's going to come around the city eventually. So let's just grab some points. So eventually this will be a 4-lane road. So what I want to do is come out of a straight line here, again respecting those trees that already exist. And this will be our main sort of connector for our village. And then what I want to do is not have too many straight lines, as I say. So we're going to come out like this, have another straight. He says no straight lines and immediately builds 2 or 3 very, very straight lines. Come out again like this. I'm not overly concerned about, I'm just going to delete this tree. He says saving the trees, deletes the trees. I'm not overly concerned about lengths of roads here, but I want to create sort of almost like a grid vibe that isn't a grid, if that makes sense. Probably does make any sense. But yeah, a grid that works with the terrain almost. So what I'm envisaging, so eventually the road is going to come through here. So I want to have this curve. Yeah, I think that's going to look quite nice. That's a nice vibe already. And then what we can do here is have this come up to about there. Again, I want to leave 1 tile space in between. That's going to look good. Bring this one out by another 8, and then we want to have a little connection coming in here as well, just so eventually we can bring those guys in. That looks nice. Bring him up, just so we complete this bit. Have a little, I don't like that. That's not good. So we can bring that. We can sort it out in a moment. In fact, what we will do, we want a little cul-de-sac coming in here with some walkability. We can fix that. That's not going to be an issue at all. So I'm thinking this is going to be our first little town. So we've got 1 connection in, 1 connection out, and that looks good. Okay, so that's where our homes are going to be for the first section of what we're doing here. And then a lot of people like to put their industry on the other side of the town. I don't like doing that because what you do is you force the workers to come across your roundabout, creating traffic, and the industry to also come across the roundabout into the shops and the town that we've got here. Again, creating this traffic on this main roundabout here. So what I'm going to do, because we're going to have some very sort of temporary industry for day one, is I just want to create a little industry vibe over here. So this isn't going to be here for long. It's just going to be very temporary. So we're just going to make it messy for now. Again, destroying trees. Having said, I'm not going to destroy trees. Oh, that one didn't go. Very nice. So this is going to be sort of like a main industry to get us kicked off here, just to get us started. So again, I want to create a few little cul-de-sacs coming off. And I probably, do I want to connect that? Yeah, I probably do want to connect that. So let's grab that road guideline, bring him in, come off of that, and then bring that in like so. So I think this is going to be good for an initial vibe. Let's go, let's get started. So what I'm looking to do for sort of episode 1 is get to the first milestone and then we can kick on from there. But I just kind of want to get us started, get us all introduced, know the channel, etc. So we're going to start with the coal power plant. We could go with the wind version, but look, I want to keep this here for as long as possible before I have to upgrade into something new when we get more options for cleaner energy further down the line. So we've got our power, we now need water. So I do want to use this. So the water tower, it offers a fair bit of water, and it will do us for the sort of first look at our city that we want to do here. So what I want to do is keep it away from the industry. So I'm just going to stick it in the middle here. and everyone's going to be happy. And then we're going to use the inland water treatment plant for our water treatment. Again, we could use the water drain pipe, but it causes a lot of pollution. So I just don't think we need it over here. So that gets us started. So we've got an initial frame. Village is going to come in here. We know that our motorway is going to eventually come around here. What I'm envisaging is this will be an arterial road that connects the three warring rival villages eventually into this central roundabout. And then we will have some sort of not intersections, but service intersections coming throughout the city as we go through. So let's get everyone connected with some water. Now, a lot of people like to use under the road water pipes, but I'm looking for efficiency here. So what we're going to do is use efficient water pipes and come off from here. So what I mean by efficient water pipes is now we can just simply achieve this. So we're reducing the number of water pipes we need across the city, ultimately reducing the amount of waste that we have in the city. But it's also cheaper, right? So it's going to save us money long term. So there we go. We've not spent a lot of money on our initial frame, which gives us a bit of scope to do some stuff further down the line. So first thing we want to do before we hit play, reduce our budgets. So we're not going to be using all of this budget. We can leave the road one. It's not too important at this phase. And then we just want to start bringing in some residents. So what I'm going to do initially, I just want to build this thing out, right? So I'm literally just going to tile all of these and get our residents into the city. So that's going to be cool. For day one, I want to put some commercial zoning along this front street. So this is going to almost be our first high street, if you will. So that will eventually come along here, and then we'll plan ahead and do some industry vibes over here. So all we're going to need to do, wait for this to come in. Let's press play, go for free speed, let everyone go through. Let's not forget our electricity, always forget. And then once we get our first settlers come in, I'll give it a second and then connect them up with the electricity as well. So again, I do quite like the vibe of these. They are cool, but they have to work in a certain way. So the way I've done it here, I've done it for efficiency. I just want to get that across immediately. But eventually the only time that we will have to use these is going across sort of main roads, sporadic use here and there. So let's bring him across and just connect these guys up with some power. So everyone's going to be happy. So again, you're kind of seeing we're going for day one. We've got an eclectic mix of housing coming in, which I don't necessarily mind, but eventually we will use some themes as we unlock districts. So I also want to be really clear here that I don't want random stuff going in. I'm really not a fan of these, so I'm going to delete that out. I don't want a petrol station sitting in here. Don't mind these. These are kind of going with the vibe that we're looking for. So I just want to make these historic because this is like, look, it's a small town. We want small businesses kind of sitting in this area. So we've got a lot of demand coming through for industry. So people are moving in. Oh, I know that's going to be an industry bus. I want to catch our first citizen coming through, but industry seems to be taking the lead here. So we're just going to watch this grow a little bit. So we're getting our industry come. When will we get our first citizens? It's always a bit of a test with city skylines. You never know. They seem to take an age. Here we go. So who is our first citizen in? It is Todd Wilson. He's going to the Belmont residence. So what we're going to do, the Belmont residence sits on what is currently Stephanie Road. It's going to become Wilmont Street. Welcome, Todd. There we go. Todd's coming in. He parks over there. That's really weird. Interesting. Didn't want a car outside of his house, but now he's got this guy, Emma Cooper. This lady, Emma Cooper's parked outside of his house. Interesting. Todd, you've now got to walk all the way around here. Oh, it's Wilson, not Wilmont. My apologies. Getting things wrong already. Wilson Street. Lovely. So, our people are moving in. Nice vibes. We've got our industry going over here. Looks absolutely terrible. Look at the state of it. It's horrendous. But, you know, here's what it is. It's vanilla, right? We're doing what we're doing. So we're just going to let that grow. And it's not going to be long before we hit our first milestone. But this is looking good. So we've got our shops coming in. This is actually one of the custom assets that I've downloaded from the workshop. Really like this vibe. And there we go. We've just hit Little Hamlet. So with this one, we get our taxes, we get our loans, our garbage, healthcare, education, and got some really nice buildings coming through. So our medical clinic, we won't need that for a while. It's actually a bit of a bug with the game. It doesn't actually require us to use that. I kind of wish medical would be a bit more important. Like you get people sick really quickly, so you have to really use the medical. But hopefully when we get to Cities Skylines 2, we will start getting that vibe coming in. We've got our elementary schools, obviously. Uh, yeah, so looking pretty good. Landfill as well, so it's going to be the main thing. So we'll do a little bit more here, and then we're just going to finish up for the day. So I'm just going to pause just to see what we're getting in with this commercial. I don't want that. So we're making these ones historical. They will obviously still grow through the ranks, but will not change in appearance, which is good. So we've got some water issues over here with our industry bods. Let's bring that down. Again, we've got a big spike for industry, so I'm just going to bring in a little bit more. Again, don't want to go mad with this. I just want to fulfill the need for now. But the first thing we are going to want to do, because we've now unlocked it, is bring in some garbage. So I'm going to create a little T section over here. And then let's come into our garbage. And I want to initially use the recycling center. So this is from the Green Cities DLC. If you don't have it, again, another one that I would recommend purchasing. But it's got quite a nice little vibe. So you've got the little trucks will come out. They've got the recycling center all within here. And that will easily satisfy the need of a small town such as ours as we move on to the latter phases of the build. So yeah, that's going to keep us going for now. So what I'd want to do next is just very quickly before we end the show, put our school in. So I'm thinking this will eventually be a nice little school area. So I want to quickly get rid of these. Grab our rural road again. Don't be afraid of destroying some buildings. It will happen, right? Change is good. So this is going to be a school area, I think. So the highway is going to run through here. I think it's going to come under or over. We'll get to that when we get to it. But I think having the school overlooking this will be quite nice. So let's just quickly browse our options. And I want to use this elementary school. I believe this is from the European pack. But yeah, we're going to use this. And I kind of want this. So eventually we'll have a high school in here as well. It's going to be a bit of a school campus. But I think I want to put this. Where do I want to put it? I think I want to put it over here. So we're going to quickly destroy our electricity. And I want him sitting in there. Just reconnect that for now. We now don't need these two, save us a bit of money. And our school is just going to overlook this part of the entrance to the city. And I think that just, eventually we're going to change this to European District, but that's going to be quite a nice vibe, looking out over the town. And then we'll have a little park coming in here. Very nice. So that's our initial town. So yeah, I think we're in a good spot. And then as we move on to the next episode, what I plan to do next episode is move through the next two milestones. So we'll get to Worthy Village and Tiny Town. Once we get to Tiny Town, we unlock our industry areas, and then that's going to be where the rival village really comes into play, sorry. So we'll have our farms created. We'll probably start with this and then move on to our forestry district over here. And really get the town sort of bustling and people moving around these arterial roads. But yeah, I think that's kind of a good start. So we've got our initial village moved in here. This will stretch out over into this bit, and as I say, eventually into a farm area, which will allow us to get rid of a lot of this dirt. It is absolutely horrendous, but yeah, it's a good start. We've got ourselves a nice initial vibe. So we'll leave it there, people. A couple of things I didn't mention. So we don't have a name for this city yet. So at the moment, it's just our Let's Play city. Please get some comments down in the chat what you would like this city to be called. Obviously, it's going to be very focused on industry on this initial island. So we kind of want the name to reflect that, to reflect the rivalry between the towns. Um, so yeah, some cool name suggestions would be fantastic. And again, as always, just hit a like or a dislike if you dislike the content. Please leave me some comments on how I can improve. But yeah, we'll be uploading a new episode very soon to push on through the milestone. So thank you very much.